clarify on the September 11th plan. So are there plans on the day of for President Biden to actually deliver remarks on the anniversary?
It's a good question. The events are not set up that way. Because he's attending an event with several other former presidents and of course former prominent officials in the morning in New York. In order to get to all of the events, it just doesn't work that way. You will hear from him in the form of a video in advance, or if that will be available that day, I should say.
Respectfully, I don't recall any other president since 9/11 ever having that same problem. They've been to every event and they still had a live address. Apparently, President Biden is not doing one though. On the 20th observation of 9/11, a video message. Here it is 20 years later, and this is where we're at. There's a lot of stuff to discuss here. Joining me right now is Mark Morgan, former acting commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection and visiting fellow in the Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy at Heritage. Mark, thank you so much for joining me. I'm curious as to your thoughts on this. I mean, I understand, just like anybody, there's going to be some, you're going to have some limitations with scheduling. However, so many other presidents previously have been able to do this. George W. Bush was able to do this. Barack Obama was able to do this. Donald Trump was able to do this. They would be in multiple states at many different events, and yet they were still able to also address the nation that weren't at any of those events and do a live response commemorating what had happened. Your thoughts on this?
Dana, the 20th anniversary of the worst terrorist attack on our homeland, and you just heard the president's secretary, it sounded like that character on Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. I had no idea what she was saying. It made no sense. Of course, the answer should have been, yes, the president is going to be at ground zero live, recognizing the 20th anniversary. It should have been a no-brainer. It defies logic.
It does. And obviously it's historical because it's 20 years. And there were people who were born not after those towers fell, and who were infants when those towers fell, who are now serving our country. And it's also historical for another reason, because everything that just went down in Afghanistan with the withdrawal and where Afghanistan is now today, many people are saying we're not at square one, we're at -1. Do you agree with that assessment? And what do you think has changed in the 20 years for the better?
Yeah, I think in many ways, and Dana, if I can, you mentioned something that I think is very important, is that there are many citizens in this country that weren't even born or too young to even remember 9/11. That's why it's even more important that the president should use his bully pulpit to make sure that those that weren't born or don't remember understand the importance of that. And hearing from the president on the day of the 20th anniversary is so important. So now let's talk about, look, this country has made just incredible strides. There's two really critically important things that we have improved. One is intelligence. It's about intelligence, the understanding the importance of intelligence, understanding how to utilize an operational intelligence to not only understand the threat, but also be able to share what we don't need, to break down those barriers like between the intelligence agencies and domestic law enforcement agencies. We've come a long ways there. In addition to that, domestically, we've changed our process, both from a law enforcement and intelligence kind of approach, from being a reactive, like, a crime happens and then we investigate it, to one being being preventative and proactive in our approach to prevent it by utilizing that intelligence. But Dana, you know as well as I do, as every year goes by, the vulnerabilities don't get less, they increase and they get more sophisticated. So although we've hardened targets, we've gotten better at sharing and understanding the importance of intelligence, we still have a vast, complex set of threats facing us from outside our borders that are alive and well today.
Yes, we very much do. And how to deal with that becomes the question. Mark, one of the big topics of discussion as everyone sort of try to reconcile what was happening in the days and weeks and months after 9/11. One of the big things that came up were, how did these people get into the country and hijack our planes? How did this happen? And of course, it was the overstayed visas. Is this still a problem? Has this problem been solved?
No, it hasn't. But I can tell you, this is one thing under the Trump administration that we were looking at. We were looking at the vast amount of loopholes in our immigration system, as well as our border security issues. And, look, this president, he passed off to the Biden administration the most secure border in our lifetime. And this administration has systematically dismantled almost every effective tool, authority, and policy that we had. And there are still vulnerabilities. The visa overstays is one of them. And now, as we're looking at what's happening in Afghanistan and the hasty withdrawal and evacuation, the chaotic, failed withdrawal, we are now importing individuals into the United States that came from a terrorist country that has now returned to a terrorist base of operations without being properly vetted. And we're actually giving them legal status. Does that sound familiar? It doesn't make any sense. Again, Dana, look, we have the ability, once we've evacuated them, their immediate harm is it's done. It's over. Go to third countries. And this DHS secretary should guarantee the American people that in an abundance of caution, we're going to slow down and we will not admit a single person in the United States that now has been properly vetted and we can guarantee poses no risk or harm to the United States. This secretary, this administration can't do that. Right now, they're doing the opposite.